Welcome, episode 10. We did it. I didn't think we were going to do this many, right?
10 more than I thought we would ever do.
Yeah. So, and still doing them a little bit slow, but you know what? I think I talked about it a little bit last time, but if we don't get it out every week, like that's my goal is to try to do one once a week, but with everything going on in our life.
But you're also editing it.
I'm editing
all of it yourself, and you got to, so I don't think people are gonna be too hard on this.
No, there's a lot that goes into it, but I want to put it out there, especially now that I'm sharing Brightside. Chapter 2 will be out today. At the end of the episode, we do that every episode. Play some of my fiction. Right now, today we're going to be doing Brightside, and we'll talk about that shit later. But yeah. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Brightside. Dude, I've been listening to it. I stretch at night because I have to listen to the version to make sure that it's cool, like that there's no mistakes or whatever. 'Cause that's a lot. I mean, I have an incredible narrator, but that's a lot to ask for, and so I have to listen to it carefully. But I've been doing that while I do yoga, and man, I love his narration. It sounds awesome.
I've heard a few, probably like a paragraph or so, or a chapter or so, but I enjoy it so far. Yeah, he's good.
That's
good
cool.
So far.
And I'm not an audiobook guy at all, but people are liking him, and so stick around into the episode. We got that. Today's a little bit different. We're here on a Friday because your friends from 10th Planet Riverside are coming. Reece and Kat are going to join us. I wanted to do this first, just before we do our yoga session with them. They're driving all the way from 29 Palms.
Yeah, it's a long,
long, especially
Friday.
Friday night. But when I found out what time they were going to be coming in, I thought it'd be cool to have my wife come down. Your girlfriend's here, so all of us are just going to do a cool little yoga workout.
I mean, we have
some jiu-jitsu. I was like, how cool is that? Yeah. So I'm excited about that. The other thing that was really cool was today.
Yeah, earlier today was pretty nice.
Yeah, no, it was 2 weeks ago, I think. I was on Mat Therapy podcast, episode 9 with Donna Gonzalez and Becky Dominguez. And it was cool. Like I probably talked more there about unlocking the cage and views on MMA than I have here.
Which is good. You need to promote it, right?
Yeah. No, it was cool. They were really cool to talk to. And then, but they hooked me up with passes go to Just Float, which we did today.
That was awesome.
So that was cool. I floated once before, and it was a pretty good experience. But I had stings from someone had MMA gloves on and didn't wrap them properly, so the Velcro had kind of scraped me up, and so the saline solution was stinging me a lot of it. But even on that one, I still I nodded off 3 times. I thought it was pretty cool. So I wasn't sure what to expect on this one though. It'd been a while, but it was, for me, dude. It was. I think from the moment I stepped in there, it was a cool experience. Like even just the way they greet you, how everything is set up, the music.
Oh yeah, the atmosphere was great.
Yeah,
it was all good. It was my first time going in there. Me and my girlfriend, our first time, and I've heard Joe talk about it. Obviously, Joe Rogan talk about it for a while, but going in there, it was just nice and calming, almost like a yoga studio or something like that. Just same atmosphere, super cool, and I nodded off a couple times. I wanted to go deeper. I think I expected to go deeper, but what I got out of it was more so about my body and where I carry a lot of tension and where I really tense up those muscles. It was a big awakening to that. But it was a cool sensation all the way around. Just having the plugs in your ears and just being under it and kind of floating. It felt like I was back in the womb, probably. I imagine. Right. So I was like, this must be something similar to this. Cool,
man. It is. I got a lot of little breakthroughs. It's lots of the stuff we were talking about this earlier, but I think floating can give you a lot. I mean, I think it could be very beneficial. I think some of those same things you're getting through yoga probably, as far as being able to,
of course,
just being able to relax your body and I don't know, but it was a cool experience, and I think I got some deeper stuff through it.
It's just way easier. It's quicker. Just all the stimulus. You don't think about your butt going numb when you're sitting there, cross-legged or you got an itch here or there. But this was just simple. You just lying there. As long as you know some kind of breathing technique, or if you can count backwards from 100, you're pretty set. I forgot to breathe a couple times. I just nodded off and ended up waking up forgetting to breathe, but Yeah, I think it's awesome. If I had the cash, I'd definitely have one in my basement slash bathroom.
Dude,
if I could, dude.
You know the original idea, like when we're talking about trying to get a warehouse for this gym?
Yeah,
I remember. I want to put a float tank in there.
The LA Jiu-Jitsu Club, shout out to them. They got one. It's just not operational right now, but when they get it going, that's going to be a big ticket right there.
Yeah, no, I think for sure I want one. But even there, so I'm going to get my parents in there next week. I'm going to have them try it out.
Cool.
So and I was like, that's cool that they're even willing to try it. But my mom actually sent me an article about the place from her chiropractor who went
just
there.
Float or just
just Float.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so the chiropractor had written like this great review of it and sent it to his patients, and my mom had seen it. So now it's not just my word that it's cool. It's like this chiropractor. So she's like, I'll go.
Dude, it's a great spot. It was just clean. It was simple. It was, hop in the shower, wash it. It was just, everything was nice and easy. So I enjoyed it. First one I went to, but I'll probably be visiting that spot and a few more whenever I can, for sure.
And Janine, your girlfriend, had an awesome experience.
Oh, she had a great experience, but she went in there awesome with no expectations. She was just cool. Just went in there on a whim and had a good breakthrough. Breakthrough, had some tears and some other good stuff going on. So that's kind of what I wanted. Yeah, but I was just, I respect it. I'll probably get it next time or when I'm ready for it.
I was kind of like that too, but then on the way home, I did realize I was like, everything just felt like kind of lighter. My head felt clear. I don't know. Maybe it was. I mean, a lot of it was because of the breathing too. That's what helps you a lot.
I definitely got that yoga drunk feeling. Like after a good yoga class, you're kind of loopy. You're kind of out of it. I definitely got that same kind of feeling from this, or like after a good jits class when you've just been beat up on. So, that was good.
Speaking of that, my wife just came in.
Yeah, and I think
Janine's
Reece
here. I'm gonna go stretch out. Reece is gonna be here soon. So we'll film some of that. Not my wife; she won't be on camera. But hey,
we'll take a workout break.
I know. But yeah, so we'll take a workout break. We'll come back and talk some more with them.
Sweet.
Awesome. So we got done with our session. You guys came in.
We had a workout break. We had a little podcast earlier. Talked about how horrible it is spending time with you guys, and we don't like you, but you're so popular. We need the publicity, so we're
have
here.
To spend time with ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
Can you imagine it for us?
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, and she's on base with half the time, so you must feel really shitty around all these crazy ass Marines, right?
Well, let's tell everyone who they are too.
That's a great point. We're just jumping right into it. So, Reece, my buddy, Staff Sergeant, Kat. I still can't pronounce your last name right.
Messerly.
Staff Sergeant Messerly. Check this guy out. Leglock Actual on Instagram. Facebook?
Facebook. Just Reece Messerly on Facebook.
Kat Proudfoot. Am I correct? Instagram. Yep.
Facebook's Kat Proudfoot. Instagram's just...
Awesome. So, we have them here today. We have a special connection. I was in the Marine Corps. I served at 29 Palms. This guy's a staff sergeant there, currently serving right now, active duty. Kat, you're always there, always in the gym, always on base. So I guess we could just start off jumping into that, right? Saying
I think so.
On base.
Originally, what I think was episode 8, we put out about our trip to the 29 Palms.
Yeah.
And I'd wanted to get you down here for that episode, but then I was like, well, let's just have them down afterwards, and it was cool. I knew we'd have a good time. It was a long-ass drive. I'm glad you guys were able to make it.
Was you guys, 3 hours solid?
3 hours with
maybe?
traffic,
Yeah.
But I thought you could talk more about the situation tell everyone what the fight camp is and the club is and why it's important, and then going a little bit into difficulties and funding and all that.
Okay. So, we have Fight Club 29, as you guys know, in 29 Palms. And what it is it's an MMA club / jiu-jitsu club / boxing / Muay Thai club that we, for, no funding or no, money pulled from the Marines themselves. It's all free for service members. And we try to get these guys in, try to get them out of the barracks on the weekends, and the weekdays, give them something to do, and then, get them competing, get their minds off the job, off the stress. For a lot of guys coming back, the combat stress or whatever it is, and give a Marine something to do, give him an avenue to actually get to fight. You know?
Yeah, and for those people who haven't served or are not familiar with 29 Palms, it's a lovely little base out. Let's just say this: they filmed The Hills Have Eyes out there.
Yeah.
I need to really it's. I mean, I was stationed there for a while. It's a base that's really known for not having a lot of things to do except drinking and lifting weights and running up these crazy hills in the back.
Still have them.
So I think it's great that you guys are now. When did you guys start this up? Like, what year did the gym actually come together? Mats, coaches.
Boy, don't quote me on everything.
I think our head coach Mark Lecco started the club in 2008 or 2009, and it's been running solidly since then.
Nice.
We've had a lot of homes since then on base. You've been through how many different places now? Because you really have been on the team longer than anyone on that team at this point.
Yeah, I've been there since spring of 2013, I guess.
Were you really one of their first fighters to actually emerge out of the camp, or?
No.
First female for sure.
There was another female on the team when I got there, but she didn't compete as much. She didn't ever box or do MMA or anything. Just grappling. So I'm the only female MMA fighter that we've had.
Nice. Because, I was there in 2007, 2008, and where you guys are now, the gym that you have now, that was like a schoolhouse.
It was
definitely wasn't there. There were no whispers of a gym or grappling or a wrestling team or anything. There was nothing there.
When I was a boot, 2005, my birthday, I checked into 29 Palms in 2005, private first class, and I actually slept in a rack or a bunk, whatever you want to call it.
Or a bed
or a bed, bed to the layperson. Where we grapple now on those mats.
That's amazing.
That was a squad bay. And then Colonel Nally in 2009 rolled through there, and he was really big into the Marine Corps martial arts program.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he wanted the Marine Communications Electronics School to have its own martial arts facility so that they could train.
0621, shout out to the Com family.
2862.
These are military references, and you're just
gonna make up some
these are our
numbers
jobs. These are our jobs. Anyway, but go on.
So he wanted his own martial arts facility, and he rolled out about $64,000 or some crazy number like that. Once again, please don't quote me on that number. It changes every time I say it, I think. So, but he.
No, this is going straight to the New York Times.
Absolutely.
After
And have the HuffPo call me.
Yeah.
But no, really, he rolled out $50,000+ new mats in there. I think we have. I'm responsible for 4 different martial arts kits, and a martial arts kit itself is about $10,000. So, right now I'm in charge of the facility.
Yeah.
So, we train Marines, the Marine Corps martial arts program. We probably have 45 Marines a day just doing the Marine Corps martial arts program in that facility. Mm-hmm. On top of, we also build martial arts instructor trainers in that facility. And then, we grapple sometimes morning, sometimes at chow, lunchtime, or and then sometimes in the evenings as well. Always in the evenings, for the Fight Club. So, and that's
you guys
Monday
got a pretty
through Thursday.
big. Sorry to interrupt. You guys got a pretty big layout. What's your square footage on? You guys got a long.
I can't remember what the square footage is, but it's big.
Yeah.
We truly blessed to have that facility because of what. How much room we have.
Is it the biggest in the Marine Corps? Are you guys the
No,
only?
Camp Pendleton has most bases have one. All right, and I know Camp Pendleton has one. Camp Pendleton has a big one on Camp Margarita.
And still active right now, still going. Okay, cool.
I know Camp Lejeune just came out with their own fight team. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
All these bases have their own grappling clubs on base now that are kind of starting to pop up. And it's not because we did anything. It's because like-minded individuals get together and we're Marines. We just like beating each other up and laughing about it. And that's the cool thing about jiu-jitsu is you can beat the crap out of each other and high five. Mark took me out tonight, and
you got
we
both of you guys grabbed my heel tonight, and I
got like 24.
Yeah. Kat over here sneaks in with the heel hook from death out of nowhere. I'm thinking I'm okay, and then bam, So no, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean we went down there, and I mean, it was great. Like, I mean, the first time I went down, I loved it. Brought him up the second time, loved it.
Yeah,
and then we actually brought up Darce Knight, Eric Medina, and
Eric
Joey
Medina
Haas.
came
You
up.
know, some EBI competitors came up and gave some lessons, and it was awesome. I mean, I love it. If I would have known that was there when I was there, or where the location was, I would have been there every day.
We've been lucky because, you know, since you started, you were kind of the pioneer as far as guys coming up, you know, and then since then we've had Randall Dolph came up, we had Travis Nawaza came up, we've had David Tice come up, who teaches the leg locks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's awesome.
the craziest leg
Older
locks
guy,
you'll ever think
but
of.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, the weirdest leg locks you'll ever see in your entire life. He's a Sambo guy.
yeah.
So we've been blessed to have, you know, people come up, and that's for a little club like that. That's what we need. We need people to come share knowledge. You know, I'm a blue belt. You know, I can only really build training partners is what I can do. Now, I am the head ground coach up there, but I can only build training partners. So I have to continue to seek out knowledge, and then when we find someone that wants to come give back, we get them in there on a Saturday or Sunday, or even on, you know, a weeknight, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So they can teach these guys, and you know how they are. My guys eat it up.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Loved it.
we started training 10 Planet Riverside first. That's where we initially met. Small world. I think you saw my tattoo, asked me about Anglico, and then it went from there. But when I came on base, people were asking me, "What? You're going to go teach yoga to Marines?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah. Trust me. These guys are going to be on it." I knew they were going to be on it, listening, just going through it, especially with another Marine, you know, leading them through it. But it's just... It's different going on base with you guys and teaching some moves and doing all that, because the guys are really receptive and they're really they're listening, and not like out here, you know, we talked earlier, guys want to come in, pay their check, come in a little late, mosey in if they want, but on base it's a total different feel. So I love it. I think it's great what's going on up there. So yeah.
One of the things I talked with Anthony about, I asked him how he felt the average Marine was after, let's say, going through boot camp. As far as ability in a fight, like just overall ability in a fight, how would you rate the average Marine coming out of boot camp?
It all kind of depends on what kind of fight we're about to get into. I think one thing that the McMap program does very well is teaches you that fights are dirty. A real combat situation, off the mat, away from a referee and people watching. Fights are dirty. So if we got to find a rock and club you with it, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna win the fight. And I think part of that transfers over later on when you start training, you know, jiu-jitsu or whatever it is. But I don't think the level coming directly out of boot camp, you know, martial arts, because these guys come out, you know, we have our belt system in McMap, and they come out tan belts. And there's so much training that they have to do in boot camp that's not just martial arts, that they don't really get that coming out. There's time later on that a Marine can start training the martial arts, but there's a lot of other stuff they have to do at boot camp that's not weaponless martial arts.
Right. So
it's kind of hard to say that, you know, these guys aren't good martial artists coming out of boot camp, when I mean, sure, you know, if someone's about to ball a Marine up and he finds something pointy, and he's gonna mess you up with it, right? You knew all the jiu-jitsu in the world, but he had a knife in his pocket, you know. But at the same time, the level of, you know, grappling, you know, those type skills, throws, and that, they'll get them later on. By the time you're a black,
right?
yeah, absolutely. If you continue,
if their job allows it to go.
Okay.
If you continue in the McMap program and you become a black belt, you know, you have McMap was kind of cool when they first started it, because they were taking, you know, jiu-jitsu, judo, MMA type stuff, and then all of your weapons skills, and putting that, you know, together, so that, you know, the McMap program, the one mind any weapon motto, is the truth. You know, they talk about weapons of opportunity. You know, you and I get into it right now. I got a microphone right here. You know, things like that, things that are, you know, in a combat situation are necessary for survival, really. So it could be better as far as, you know, competition jiu-jitsu, but, you know, as far as saving your own life, and, you know.
Okay, and now, so tell me, what has jiu-jitsu done for you, or martial arts? What has it done for you?
Boy,
And the same with Kat after, so
Yeah.
you're going to get some time to think about that one, because you're actually in it to win it, so.
Kat's the MMA
I know,
fighter.
she's the MMA fighter over here.
No, I mean, that silly little hashtag, jiu-jitsu saved my life. You know, it's the truth, though. A year and a half, 2 years ago, I was a drunk. I mean, like, nothing going on. My wife had left me at the time. I was getting out of a year-long course, and I was at the point where I didn't know whether or not I wanted to stay a Marine. I didn't know if I was bored with it. I really didn't have a lot going on. I was trying to do some stuff with bass fishing, but I couldn't really do anything in that because I lived so far out in the middle of nowhere. And I was kind of lifting weights a little bit, like you talked about doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go into the gym, and then what do you do after the gym? Now I've got this entire night ahead of me. Well, let's drink. Screw it, you know. And I was lucky enough to have as I transferred into the job that I have now, I had a gunny who was a black belt in the Marine Corps martial arts program. And I was sitting talking to him one day, and I said, "Do you guys ever do anything?" Because I got my blue belt back in 2009. And I just kind of quit since then. I said, "Do you guys ever really do anything other than McMap down there?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, if you know what that is." Right on. Really? You do jiu-jitsu? I was so excited. So from that day on, I started training again. And I was into gi at the time, and then eventually took that off, and then found Randall, and then, you know, that kind of rolled from there. But it absolutely got me off the couch. You know, we still party a little bit, you know, but we're not near as bad as we used to be. I mean, that was terrible, you know. And when I started jiu-jitsu, like really started jiu-jitsu again hard in 2000, like middle of 2014, I weighed 205 pounds. I walk around at 165 now.
Wow.
You know,
That's
and I have something, you know, I'm focused on, and it's cool being with Kat because now it's something we can focus on.
That's beautiful.
You know, we got tournaments coming up, and her and I are planning a schedule so we can train together.
Yeah.
You know, 06, we're gonna wake up and we're gonna lift. We're gonna do this. This is how we're gonna eat. We're planning out meals.
That's beautiful.
You know, chow. We're trying to, you know, we'll go drill at chow. You know, we want to work leg locks today. We want to work a triangle choke or whatever it is today. Then in the evenings we get in there. I'll teach. She'll work MMA. Then we go home, eat, and go to bed. It's great.
It's a good life.
So for you, Kat, I mean, you got an unusual perspective here. What's going on with you in martial arts? How'd you start? What happened? What's the story? Why'd you end up at like what's this? You know? But,
What's going on here?
Yeah.
I kind of started just by chance. I was 18. I was making a lot of bad decisions, risky behavior, just totally directionless shithead kid, basically. And my dad suggested martial arts as maybe an outlet, kind of find some structure in my life. And I wound up in a Krav Maga gym in Redondo Beach. And I loved it. It was so much fun. And I did it for a few months, and I was like, you know, like self-defense is so cool, so useful, but I want to compete. So what other avenues are there? So I did a little kickboxing, I did a little jiu-jitsu. I moved to Virginia, which is actually where I got my blue belt. And I was training at a gym that's 20 minutes from Quantico. So a lot of the guys there were Marines too.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I wind up in 29 Palms, and there was a small gym out in town there.
Okay.
And when I was researching, like, I found Fight Club 29, and I was like, man, like, that looks like the place to be. You know, I'm a civilian. I'm never, like, how am I going to convince them to just take this?
Yeah,
you know?
how'd that happen? That's interesting.
So I'm at this gym out in town, and that gym did a pancration tournament, and so did Fight Club 29. So they kind of like merged teams for a little bit, and, you know, we prepared for the tournament, we competed, happened to take first. And then Mark pulled me aside, and he was like, "You're welcome to come back anytime."
Which is Mark Aleko, or Sergeant Major.
Sergeant Major.
Yeah.
Retired Sergeant Major.
Yeah, the head coach. And I was like, cool, you know, I'll see you Monday. And I just left that gym behind. It's no longer there, and I've been with Fight Club 29 ever since.
Dude, that's beautiful. What is your, you know, going back to your perspective, driving on the base, you know, being a civilian, but driving on the base, seeing these guys, being so close, and, you know, with these guys, and just what's your feel? What do you see when you just on base? That's so, people don't get it. Like, on base is such a microcosm of a world, and shit's different. I mean, people on base, it's not California. You're not in California. You're in the Marine Corps. You're not in Cali. So what's...
She's just as tough as we are.
No, I get it, but for a female to be stepping onto this base, and just rolling with these monsters, killers.
I've always been kind of a black sheep. I hadn't ever really found my niche anywhere. And then, I was kind of nervous coming onto this team. And all of a sudden I was surrounded by people who think like me, who talk like me, who train like me.
Degenerates, which is...
Yeah. And it was actually the first place I ever felt like I fit in.
Nice.
And which is awesome. I love it. But it's also kind of bittersweet because there are little moments where I'm in that world, but I'm not a part of that world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's pretty. Yeah,
So not only being a female, but not being a Marine, it's kind of like, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, but watching you in the gym, like, you would never know. Like, you're just a fucking Marine, just some tough ass chick who's
I'll have
there.
facial piercings in, and they're like, "Oh, what unit are you with?"
Yeah. That's awesome. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. So for you, we're all on base. I know the life. I lived it. You're living it. You're on there. What was your take going up there and just chilling with all these guys and kind of being immersed in that world?
Because we went at night and I didn't really see that much.
Sure,
I don't think it was. I don't think I got that kind of. Although I did, like how big it was. I think because we talked about that and you were saying just how massive it is, and so that kind of surprised me. I think. It's not somewhere I would want to live at all. But what was cool was, I was there for the interviews. I don't even think I really trained with you guys much. I think I'm still having knee issues too.
Yeah.
But being able to sit with everyone, interviewed Kat, and then I interviewed all the guys about what the gym has done for them, and because I've gone around the country and I've talked with so many adults, so many fighters, so many just regular people, so many parents, so many kids, so many people that have their life changed by martial arts. I know it could benefit anybody. And of course it would help the military and especially Marines to have access to that, because not only is it going to make you, it'll make you a better soldier, better Marine. It's going to improve you athletically. It's going to improve you so many ways. But listening to them, and a couple of the guys were very honest with just exactly what it gave them and what an outlet it was. It's look, we're trained to be killers. That's what our job is. That's what you're supposed to do. It's I need somewhere to get rid of that. Well, I can't do that. Well, I can't do my job.
Useful way.
I was this is where I can expend it. And that goes with so many fighters. A lot of fighters they train because they got a rage in them that they're just barely able to contain by training, and that's what martial arts is good. So it was cool. It was cool to hear those stories, man. And
that's awesome.
So how is funding? So it's now. Do you not?
I love it.
Do you not get? Because I don't know the whole structure. So are there clubs on base? Are you guys considered a regular club like other things? Are like baseball teams and stuff like that? Do they get funding? Is there money that could be?
So as of recently, we became an NFE, a non-funded entity on base. Right now, there are funded entities, which would be your softball teams, your football teams, soccer, basketball, all the things where people don't think you get hurt, right? You're not supposed to get hurt playing.
Yeah.
Actually, before you were on the team, we were funded. Right, when I came on the team,
and this shitbag came along
and he just
fucked
it all
show
up.
Walking heel hooking everybody. Gonna hurt someone.
Triangle stuff. Yeah.
Taking all your money away.
So you were.
We were, and then I don't know a lot of the details of it, especially not being a Marine.
Of course.
But yeah, we used to get money to compete. They would give us government vans to drive to tournaments and stuff. And then one day they were just kind of we don't have the budget for you guys anymore.
Wow.
Sorry about it.
And that's kind of where we were when Coach and I sat down with the base legal department.
Which wasn't too long ago, right?
Right.
Because
remember when we
a
lost
quick
the
backstory, they had lost the gym. We went up there. I think I went up. A couple guys went up. And then right after that, I think after Eric and us went out there.
I was there too. Yeah. Like a
Yeah,
month or so.
you guys lost the gym.
We
and I was
lost the dojo because of a training accident that happened in Biloxi, Mississippi, while doing the McMap program.
Yeah.
Was what happened, and I can't speak intelligently enough to put it out to the world as to what happened in that training accident. But a Marine ended up dying, is what ended up happening, and what it sounds like it was just poor leadership at the time. Anyway.
Yeah.
So that happened. My command got nervous, and we shut it down for a couple weeks until we could figure out how we wanted to go about using the facility and put something on paper saying that we were being safe. Like for you guys running the youth center, you probably talk to lawyers, and you probably have your waiver and everything like that.
Someone's married
someone,
so that
right on. See, you did it right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, none of us were married to base lawyers. But so we got back in the gym, and for 2 weeks, and it was actually kind of good for recruiting. We were in the West Gym on base, and they had this big. It's a turf room, yeah. So we were just laying out mats in the turf room.
No,
just hitting pads, like everyone's over there like, what the hell are those?
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I the way us 10th Planet guys dress, I walk in like the 10th Planet Harlequin,
Get everything on,
got everything I can on, and then we start rolling,
and they don't
spinning
know
on my head and locking
on.
legs, and everybody's like, what in the hell? So you got a few guys that would come over and be like,
what's going on here?
Can I get in on it? Yeah, bro, get on the mat. We found Luke like that.
Oh yeah, we did.
We found Luke like that.
Super solid wrestler.
Yeah,
college wrestler. Really good
Lieutenant
guy.
wrestled in college. Awesome guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We found a couple other guys that are still on the team like that, to the point where I think at Chow here from now on, like every now and then, I'm gonna go roll out the mats.
I was just gonna say, why don't you continue that and just keep that
roll
going?
out the mats.
Yeah. Have a little fucking yoga lockdown, get in there and fuck some dudes up with some toes or something.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's kind of what we're. So we started after we became the NFE. We started being able to put out different like flyers and stuff. We were able to like, come out of the shadows,
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I want to do is to start putting it in the gyms again, so we can roll. And everybody be like, "Oh, that's kind of cool. Can I get in?" Like, yeah, man. You roll with the guy. What's great about Marines is the harder you beat the hell out of them, the more they like it.
Yeah.
Like that skinny little dude just beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I better go back.
Yeah.
And then you know how it is.
A pretty girl tap me out? No.
Yeah, exactly.
That big ass dude does yoga. I could do that shit too.
Yeah, exactly. So
I love it. Yeah.
We're trying to do that, but as far as funding now goes, we're trying to we do car washes.
Like a high school cheerleading team.
Yeah, we are a high school cheerleading team that hooks heels and beats face.
Okay, now this too. All right, with not having the funding, how much money does the average Marine have to spend on training, like to go to somewhere like Riverside or and even just to make that trip and to leave base?
I'm lucky because I'm a staff sergeant and I have the money that I can leave base and I can drive down to Riverside once or twice a week and train under Randall Dolph. I don't think your PFC Lance Corporal. I'll grab some of them that are on the team on a Wednesday night and put them in my truck and we'll go down. The three of us will mob down to Riverside and we'll train. Randall's been super cool about that. It's been awesome. But they don't have the money. These guys that are on the team, I'm thinking about Xavier Vines right now. One of the guys on our team. Xavier, good for Xavier too, because Xavier's super tight with money and good. I mean, like
frugal.
There's that word. Yeah, he's good with money. So when I'm like, hey man, you want to do a tournament this weekend? He's like, how much is it? Like $35. Can the team get that?
Yeah.
Like, well, no, the team probably can't get. Well, yeah, you know what? Fine, we'll talk to coach. So if we have money in the budget, coach is always willing to pay for these guys to do it, but we don't always have money in the budget, and that's kind of what I texted you guys the other day, and I was like, why don't I'm kind of. And I was sitting around the house and I was thinking about like an adopt a fighter program or adopt a service member program where we got shorts from like Lanky Fight Gear, right? John Robinson sent us out a bunch of shorts and they were awesome. I still wear them. Great shorts. GFY sent us shorts. A while back in the day, you guys, Oscar Mike sent us some stuff.
Oscar Mike, Bad Boy, Dethrone. I wear my dethrone beanie every time before I fight.
Nice.
The only time I lost, I forgot to wear it. So
There it is. So I was thinking about trying to start something like that, and it's really it's just conceptual right now. I'm trying to figure out how I would do that to where I could get, maybe a military guy applies online and says, hey, this is my sports. I'm a kickboxer. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I want to start traveling and attending these tournaments. Here's the list of tournaments I want to attend, and hopefully, we could figure out something to hook them up with sponsorship.
Mm-hmm.
So, a
That's a
Lanky
great
Fight
idea.
Gear or Nawaza Apparel can pick a guy up and be like, yeah, hey, we can't full on sponsor you, but you're going to this tournament.
Yeah,
We'll send you out a rash guard.
Mm-hmm.
We'll pay for your
Yeah.
entry fee and get after it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and I think that's something that at least for me going up to base, I told Mark this. I'm a Marine, I might not look the part anymore, but I get the struggle and the stress that we go through, and I think that jiu-jitsu has really, helped me transfer to the civilian life. What is it, Mark? 22, 23 Marines commit suicide every day.
22.
In this war, and I'm fine. I'm fucking living because I think it's because of jiu-jitsu and all that. So going back on base and seeing you guys, and we had a discussion, it pisses me off. It pisses me off because, I was a teenager. I was in my teens dropping GBU 12s. It's a 5,000 pound bomb that cost way more than that, Ooh, nice. We can keep going for a little bit.
Okay.
And that's just target practice. We're just dropping all these bombs, or, we're dumping ammo like it's crazy. I don't understand why they can't allot some money, for the Marines to go do this. It's just, it angers me a little bit, but I understand the powers that be and all that. But that's why I think what you're doing is awesome. That's why I want to continue to go up on base and keep traveling and keep bringing people up, because it's fucking ridiculous that we can't get some sponsorship.
Yeah, almost as ridiculous as that buzzer.
Yeah.
not quite. But you said it's just you don't have it going yet. Why not starting that? Well, so if someone wants to donate something, can they just contact you direct on
absolutely.
Instagram? Would that be the best way for someone?
Instagram, Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just looking you up personally.
Yep.
Or you actually have there's a Fight Club page,
and
right?
I have the Fight Club 29 Grapplers page.
Okay. All right. So yeah, if there's anyone out there that wants to do that, contact me. So I think that's awesome.
And more and more bases starting to pop up and put gyms. I think Yuma, right? Yuma has a little 10th Planet.
Yeah, Yuma,
going
10th
on.
Planet Yuma and Marine Corps Community Services 10th Planet kind of have an agreement.
Beautiful.
Yuma, Marine Corps Community Services Yuma, the gym has a mat room in it, or a wrestling room, I think is what it was when the wrestling team was still out there. That's how I remember it when it was explained to me. So the leadership at 10th Planet Yuma sends their purple belts and whatnot out to help train the Marines in the evening.
Yeah.
On base, and it's free for those Marines on base.
That's beautiful.
And then they get a big discount if they want to also go out in town and train at 10th Planet Yuma out in town. So a guy who gets off work kind of late and can't make it out in town to train can still run to the wrestling room and train in the evenings. I know I think talking to one of the guys, I think they do gi twice a week and they do no gi twice a week.
Nice.
So it's a good deal. It really is.
Yeah.
And we're hoping through exposure like this, we can start getting these programs like that out too, or get people excited to come up to places like 29 Palms.
Yeah.
Get people to go to
Camp Pendleton.
Pendleton.
And you said
Miramar.
Lejeune has a base, right? They just opened up a base.
Where's that?
Or not a base. Camp Lejeune just put up a.
Camp Lejeune has a grappling team.
Yeah.
Where the wrestling, the Marine Corps wrestling team is based out of Camp Lejeune, and someone was telling me that they started a grappling team as well, where the wrestling team goes. Because the wrestling team's not using the whole mat.
Yeah.
Let us weirdos get in there and work
they
a
could
little
use
bit
some
too.
chokes, and they could use some of that too. That's awesome. So, what else we got? We got a lot.
Yeah, no, that was cool. I was wondering, how did you guys like the yoga? How often have you done yoga, and what did you think of it? Is it hard at all for you to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and not even like physically. I'm just like just overall.
So when we trained together at Riverside, and what we still do now at Riverside, our flow or the yoga flow that we start out, I still do that in the warm-ups for the guys.
Yeah.
In fact, I pretty much, all of the stuff that I learned at 10th Planet Riverside, I just bring back, so, the warm-ups, the yoga flow, I still do all that. If I want to do yoga, I mean, for me, I put my phone on the mat and follow Leslie Fightmaster.
There it is.
That's my online yoga instructor. But as far as you,
I'd done yoga before, so I was familiar with it. I'm pretty comfortable doing it. I'm flexible. I'm strong. My biggest thing is chilling the fuck out, like matching my breathing, kind of relaxing. That's where I struggle in yoga.
Yeah.
Is it? Do you think it helps?
Absolutely, undoubtedly.
We talked about that too. How for a lot of MMA fighters, especially, I think it's a little bit difficult to convince them to even do yoga if they haven't done it before, especially a guy.
I think anyone who's alpha like that, who wants hard, fast, tough, it is so difficult to convince them that in order to be successful at something like that, you have to rest, you have to stretch, you have to do the recuperation stuff too. Not all your valuable training time is getting beat up or beating someone else up. It's managing your body. It's taking care of, like, your body is your tool. It's your weapon. You got to take care of it.
Yeah,
for
sure.
You have to train smart. Well, I was asking that also because of how do you think yoga would be beneficial for guys that are active duty? I'm a huge believer that for sure it would be good for anyone that's out, any veteran. But do you think it's something that is beneficial?
Yeah, I do. And they're trying to start something on base right now. I know there's a lady that comes from out in town.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I don't know how many days a week she does it. I think
In the West Gym?
Yeah, I think she comes at Chow like 1 or 2 days a week.
It's been going on for a while, but I never see Marines in there. I only see wives in there.
Okay. Yeah, and so, I think we're Marines. We want to be a bunch of bloodthirsty killers.
Yeah.
And I think Kat said it best, how you take a guy like that's so alpha, that is trained to stab and shoot and kill, and then say, hey man, this will make this slow movement right here is going to make you better at that stabbing, shooting, moving.
Yeah.
You and I just had that argument yesterday about flow rolling.
Yeah.
Oh, when she heel hooked you? Is that when?
Twice?
Is that when?
Right.
I don't know why I'm talking shit, because I got it today too.
I'm gonna tell the story. So she's like, I want a flow roll, and she just takes a cap step into honey hole, shoots the leg over into game over, and straight heel hooks me. Right. I'm like, well, I thought this was a fucking flow roll. Like,
but I was relaxed. It was halftime.
So like she heel hooks me, and I'm kind of pissed off about it. And I'm like, I'll fucking count anyway, Kat. And she's like, what? How did that not count? And she did it twice. Same move twice.
Yeah.
How's that not count? And I was like, it's a flow roll. Flow rolls don't count. And I had some.
It's more catch and release.
I had some sweet ass analogy for it, and she just gave me this look. I'm like, fuck, fine. Your heel hooks count. Tell everybody.
Oh, that's
go crazy.
No, but that, I mean, back to base and the Marines doing yoga. I was glad, and I was appreciative of you allowing me to come on base and do my type of yoga for them, which I think being a Marine a little bit more beneficial. I always worry about the yogi world getting mad about me going deep with Marines and talking about crazy shit while we're doing yoga, and before you're gonna stab someone, exhale before you pull that trigger, something. So it was just cool for you to allow me to go on base. And like I said before, all the guys were super receptive, and they did it, dude. They were trying to hit the poses. They were going for it. So yeah.
I think most of the guys that come in now that do jiu-jitsu, that do MMA, I think they're very open-minded about that type of stuff. Especially, I mean, look at what jiu-jitsu is. When you first walk in and see jiu-jitsu, and you're like, that's fucking weird. Mm-hmm. How did that dude, like, what, possum guard? We have possum guard now? Gordon Ryan can lay on his back and then heel hook someone? Like, if you're a guy watching that, you're like, that guy's going to get his ass. What the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So I think after a couple months of, okay, if I turn like this, if I get up on my shoulders and I turn like this, I'm going to catch the lock or whatever it is, right? They start to see that, and then we tell them, hey, you're going to get more flexible so you can hit rubber guard positions. Let's do yoga. The guy's going to go, fuck yeah.
That makes sense.
I would love to hit a go-go plata. That's sweet. Let's do yoga.
Yeah.
And then they're not just getting the martial arts aspect out of yoga where they can start hitting these positions that they want to hit, but they're also getting everything else that yoga brings, the relaxation, breath control.
That's why I started. I started because we talked about it, how much you can improve your martial arts. I was like, I want to get better at jiu-jitsu, so I'll add this to it. And then it just kind of, I want probably more that way to rehab my knee.
Yeah.
But and then started getting all the extra benefits. And now I'm like, okay, this is dope. I'm gonna definitely be doing this for a long time.
Sweet. So I mean, dude, we covered a lot.
Okay. You guys got something going on tomorrow. I don't know. I'm gonna try to put this out tomorrow. I don't know if it's gonna come out in the morning or whatever. But you guys, I think it's just kind of cool to mention because you guys are. I mean, you are trying to make money for yourself. You're not just saying, "Hey, give us money." You guys have a car wash going on?
Yeah, we'll start at 09 and go to 1500, or 9 a.m. and go to 3 p.m. So
1300.
It's coach will make me stay
I
till
know
1500.
just knows. 16.
Are you guys going? Where are you guys going?
So we'll be at Foster's Freeze in 29 Palms washing cars tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Yeah. So you wash them and then drive away and get dirty again because the dust.
Hopefully
Just turn around.
We pray the wind's blowing and just a sandstorm the whole time, so they spin around and come right back through.
You guys should do one. What's the next biggest town to you?
Yucca.
Is it worth doing? Yeah. Do surrounding towns even care? I mean,
Well, I mean, Marines spend money, so that's
a
about
big
how
part.
much they care.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
and what's cool about Foster's Freeze is, someone's getting their car washed, they can run and get an ice cream cone. So they're all about it.
That's cool.
Give us $10 and they go get an ice cream cone. So and they know that, so they're all about it. And it's super nice of them to let us use their lot anyway, whether they're making money or not. It's super nice of them to let us, use their lot and wash cars and all that. But we're trying to do that. I'm trying to come up with T-shirt ideas, and I recycle and give the money. All the dojo recycling. It's gonna go towards the fight team.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's beautiful.
So even if it's you don't make a lot of money recycling.
Yeah.
$15. I guess I just paid for a Lance Corporal's tournament. And I'm okay with that.
Really quick though, before we end, I wanted to dedicate this podcast to Trip, one of my buddies who I served with out in 29 Palms. He drunk himself to death out in the fucking hotels in 29 because this wasn't around or something like that. A lot of Marines can't just go home. I was lucky I was living in California, but some guys can't fly home and do all that. So I think that's another reason why I think it's good that guys have a different outlet. Absolutely. You can drink, you can do this, but then you can go here and let out all your fucking demons. And I think if he had opportunity to choke someone, he probably wouldn't have been choking on that bottle, So,
for sure.
Trip, dude, I love you, but yeah. So, dude, thank you. Thanks, Reece. Staff Sergeant, I fucking love it. Thank you guys for driving down here. It's
for sure.
Awesome. Really quick, where can people find you? That probably wasn't good for the thing. Where can everyone find you? Facebook.
So I'm on Facebook, Reece Messerly. Kat Proudfoot, also on Facebook. If you can't hit me up, hit her up. She'll definitely get me on it.
And I'm just saying it now. We're gonna start touring bases. We're gonna go down to Yuma. Hopefully, someone flies us out to Lejeune. I think
that would be cool.
I think we should do that. I think you're a pioneer, starting all this and leg locking everybody, and kind of and I think it's good for Marines to see that you can get out and then start a business and do something else with yourself. So I want to go and show that. So.
And the one thing I want to say about 29 Palms, and I kind of wanted to put this out there while we're here, it's not that bad. We've made just the best out of it that we possibly can. We're only 3 hours from here.
Yeah.
And when I finally got back into jiu-jitsu, and I was like, I loved all the Eddie Bravo stuff coming back. I remember wearing the gi and hitting rubber guard. My professor at the time was like, "God, that shit don't work."
Yeah.
A rubber guard, just pop out of it. But I was so excited to be a 10th Planet guy, and what I'm trying to do for these guys is hey, look, you guys can get out on the weekends and hit up these super cool open mats, or these, we found out about no-gi judo in Fullerton. Ooh. We still got to try to hit that one up. That just sounds fun.
Yeah.
So you're Southern California, even if you're living in 29 Palms, you're still in Mecca
You're
for
still in
martial
Mecca.
arts.
That's true.
So, I try to tell these guys, like, look, if you have this thirst for martial arts knowledge, all you got to do is drive down the hill and go left or right and find a gym.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, get out and go find a gym. That's what we did. That's how we found you in Riverside.
Yeah.
And we
So
took
true.
a right and went down into Riverside. And now, we got all these gyms that, we'll walk in and be like, yeah, we're Riverside guys. And people are like, yeah, get in here. Let's roll.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
So we try to get these guys to get out and do that as well. So 29 Palms might be way out there and it might be kind of hot in the summer, but it's close enough that you're right near jiu-jitsu's Mecca.
And we are in Jiu-Jitsu's Mecca, and if you're a high-level guy who wants to give back to the servicemen, I mean, find yourself down there, contact Staff Sergeant, and make your way up there and share your knowledge. Travis Nawaz has been up there, Randall's been up there. A lot of guys try to go up there, so just share it. Let's see some guys from ALJ, let's see some guys from everywhere go up there and share their stuff. So. Yeah,
there's something I want to mention that's pretty cool. I wore this for the shirt for the last time we had the military podcast, Triple Threat Combat Sports, and stopped there. I think it's in Newark, Delaware. Kevin Green, I believe he's Army, but a vet who he has a program there where he offers unlimited free training for life to any combat vet. And he was challenging other gyms to do it. So he wanted to let people know that that's what he does for his guys. He knows the importance of this, especially for guys that have been, I think any vet, deserves it. And I think it's awesome for them to have it. So if more gyms can offer that, I think that's just incredible. And that's something that you're going to do as well. Because
definitely something I'm going to offer here. Any yoga lockdown class here at the 10th Planet Youth Center. If you're a vet, if you're a service member as far as the police or the firefighter, if you're active duty, for sure, you can come down here and take all my yoga classes, all my jiu-jitsu classes. It's all free. Just come show your face. That's it. Yeah, pretty much.
All right on.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Should we suck each other off now? Or can you go to the bathroom?
Can I just say here?
I was going to share. I also have to share Brightside too. Today's.
We'll cut that.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm keeping that part. You don't want to keep that part?
I don't think the mic caught it. Right.
So, would you guys want to know each other's thoughts? Do you think you guys would be able to stay together if you did?
Oh.
Within 6 feet to 10 feet? Let's throw that out there.
Yeah, so yeah.
I wouldn't want to. No thanks.
No.
Why? Because you have some stuff in your head that you wouldn't want him to see, or
I take it. Oh man.
I wouldn't want to know anyone's thoughts. Like this is all private. What I choose to let out, that's fine.
Yeah,
Same with everyone
I
else.
agree with
like privacy's not a bad thing, I think.
Yeah.
no. I think so. But that's why I wrote Brightside. I wrote Brightside because I think I was sitting next to my wife, and I'm like, holy shit! If she just heard what I thought, my divorce would be like that would have been the best thing that could have happened. But it wasn't even anything direct. It was just whatever thought. I think we have these thoughts. But anyways, that's why I wrote Brightside, where these guys, telepaths, have this ability. This guy Joe's had it his whole life. So he knew what his mom was doing, knew what his dad was doing, how much they loved him, all that kind of stuff. But then the government finds out about it, locks him in a little town, and just how terrible that would be to try to have a relationship with someone else. And being in a town where everyone knew your thoughts. But that's what that is. Last week we had chapter 1 of the audiobook. Today is chapter 2. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Thank you guys for joining us. That was awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
I love it.
Cool. I'll have to do it again soon.
Chapter 2. It was day 39 and I was alone in my office, just Rachel's desk to keep me company. I needed to look busy and pretend to type, my fingers tapping out nonsensical strings. I drank cup after cup of water so I could focus on my throbbing bladder, focus on anything but Rachel. The boots dragging her from my room. My computer dinged. A polite email reminding me of my quota. Brightside required us to work. It wasn't for the money. The government funded most everything. but Brightside needed us to keep busy to feel productive. They started the jobs program after the first month. Too many Brightsiders had jumped off the mountain, took the easy way out. Quotas kept us from living in our heads. Busy people don't kill themselves. That was the idea, at least. I started dialing. Got 24 hang-ups, 5 don't ever call me agains, and 1 old woman who spent 3 minutes asking about the weather in Greece before she realized that I wasn't her son. I was one of the few Brightsiders allowed to make calls to the outside world. I'd been deemed a low risk, but everything was monitored. If I said one thing, like begged for help, or told anything about the truth of this place, I'd be sitting in the cabin dripping drool by night. Finally, a guy actually sounded interested. I asked him if there was anywhere he dreamed of going. The guy said, "Costa Rica. I've heard good things about that place." In 3 quick clicks, I was on their homepage. Oh, definitely. Costa Rica's great. Do you know the average temperature is 72 degrees? I didn't know that. Yeah, and they've got active volcanoes. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Costa Rica is definitely the place to go, I said. And we've got some incredible getaways available at great prices. Brightside had given me a sales script, which was shit, but deviation was against the rules. I don't know, the guy said. How much would it run me? Well, I'm sure you'd qualify for our no down payment plan, and our smaller suites are under $200 a month. Well, that's nothing. Exactly. Less than you'd probably spend on gas. I checked the screen. Are you still in management, Mr. Crawford? Yeah, at home enjoying a sick day. Lucky man. How are your benefits over there? Do you have much vacation time built up? Tons. So what do you think? Do you like to own your very own Costa Rican condo? Doesn't that sound like fun? They told us to emphasize the word fun as much as possible. It does, but tell me this, is prostitution really legal over there? The screen said Mr. Crawford had a wife and son, but that was none of my business. For all I knew, he'd gotten a divorce. Computers were never accurate. I told him prostitution was legal, and his laugh made me sick. Would you be looking for a 1-bedroom or 2? I asked. Just 1. Tell me more about this. Are there brothels? I believe so. Now, I've got some nice villas on the Pacific Ocean, and I heard there's no age limit. That's something you'll have to check. Now, this place is right on the water. Why don't we get the process started? If I can get your credit card number and verify a couple of details, we'll be done before you know it. How do I know this isn't some kind of a scam? Good question. Goes to show what a smart man you are. Why don't I just email over a contract? Just click on the link and it'll take you right to our site. Brightside Travel is a very reputable company. Holy shit. You're one of those guys? Tell me what I'm thinking. I'm afraid it doesn't work like that. If you'll give me your email address, I'll send you the contract. A door opened and closed on Mr. Crawford's end. A woman's grating voice said, Paul, what are you doing on the phone? You're supposed to be sick. Sounding nothing like the man he'd been when she wasn't around, Mr. Crawford said, I'll be off in a minute. I didn't know if he was still listening to me, but I kept trying. Tell her it's a surprise. Tell her you're doing something special for her, but don't tell her what. As quick as I could, I said, You make this decision and she'll thank you. But he'd already hung up. I had told Carlos, my boss, the website's name was starting to hurt our ability to sell. Carlos said it reminded people Brightside allowed us to live productive lives. Again, I told him, it was hurting sales. Carlos said the PR was worth it. Brightside wasn't very profitable, but we only needed to make enough to cover what the government wouldn't fund, like the ice cream parlor, movie theater, and electronics store. If this had been BMW, I would have had papers everywhere, stacks of sales contracts, important phone calls to return. My Brightside desk had one piece of paper, a blue Post-it note Carlos had stuck on my phone, a completely unnecessary reminder of our 3:00 meeting. I'd never worried about a review before Brightside. Got Salesman of the Month 5 times in a row. Worst thing my ex-boss Saul ever said to me was, slow down a little. Leave something for the other guys. Some of them have families. Here, I shared an office because I sucked so hard. I made another call, but it kept ringing. I stared at the door, waiting for it to open, to see Rachel in that red skirt, her legs glistening with the pina colada lotion. The only thing that entered the office all morning was a note card slipped under the door. It told me I had an appointment with Sharon, Brightside's resident shrink. Sharon liked to say there was beauty in everything. Look at it all. Breathe it in. But she could keep her fucking Kool-Aid. Self-help wasn't going to save me. It was too late for that. Might have worked when I was a kid, when everything started. It was winter, and I was in kindergarten my very first day. The bell rang and class began. Miss Parker assigned us seats. Corey thought I smelled like a girl. Tamika asked to be moved because her dad told her never to trust a honky. Jenny thought I looked weird and stupid. I knew all this before nap time, and it only got worse. I'd been hearing other people's thoughts for a few months, but never this many at one time. Miss Parker told us to be quiet, to try and fall asleep. The ones who couldn't would just lie there and think. A million voices blasting straight into my head. It was like standing behind a jet engine. I covered my ears, mashing my palms until I thought I'd crack my skull. But that's not how thoughts entered me. They just shot in, and I screamed. Miss Parker ran over, thinking I was having a nightmare. She saw my pants covered in piss. Some kids laughed. They all thought I was a baby. I kept my hands over my crotch. Miss Parker told everyone to be quiet. She took my hand. Her skin was dry and scaly, covered in chalk. She took me to the bathroom to get cleaned up. She said there was a change of pants in the teacher's lounge. This sort of thing happened a lot. I remember my little pecker rubbing against the corduroy because the school didn't carry underwear. Miss Parker had to cut the legs off because they were too long. I wondered how many other little peckers had touched this zipper. Miss Parker held my hand again, her skin cutting into mine, and we went back to class. The kids were quietly thinking I was a retard, except for Stephen, probably the only Chinese kid in Columbus. He thought the other kids were jerks, but he just sat there and said nothing. I would have done the same. When the day finally ended, I waited for everyone to leave the room, and then slipped my red rain boots on, because Mom said comfy winter ones were a waste of money. I put on my puffy blue jacket that was my Hulk jacket when I wore Dad's green sweatshirt over it and growled at the mirror. I left my gloves in my pocket and headed to the door. I hoped it wasn't too cold out. I hoped I wouldn't have to wait long. Mom had promised she wouldn't forget, but she said not to worry enough times for me to know better. The snow was coming down hard. The sky was a dark cloud. I put on my gloves that were only just mittens, the kind without fingers because they were cheaper. Over half the class had already been picked up, their parents waiting out front. The rest of the kids were lined up along the fence, with Miss Parker folding her arms and hopping up and down, looking like a skinny big bird. She had the same puffy yellow hair, too, but hid most of it under her brown hat with the giant ear flaps. She said it was the rule to wait by the fence, but there were kids spilling out by the street. I headed over to the end, squeezed in between Stephen and the giant mound of snow. Stephen was dressed for success. A bright blue snow coat and matching vest and light blue button-down underneath it. No one had told his parents dressing like that came later in life. Maybe they knew Stephen's life would be a short one. He never looked up from his 6-inch tall Superman, the strongest man on the planet. I had both hands in my jacket pockets, holding each other, and my belly, because the lining was ripped and Mom didn't sew. I kicked away a circle of snow. My boots were too thin, and I was going to be there a while. Stephen aimed the Superman at the ground and thought, "Melt this with your heat vision." "What?" I said. "I didn't say nothing," Stephen said. "Sorry," I said. I'd learned to apologize when I'd mistakenly thought someone had said their thoughts out loud. People got angry when I didn't. They called me crazy. Every night I prayed for God to make it go away, but it was always there. The noise inside other people's heads. I never listened on purpose, never reached in and stole people's thoughts like some believed. For me, it's like hearing a person's true voice, the things they really believe. It's like a whisper from 6 feet, a scream at just inches. The more focused the thought, the louder it gets. You know that silent awkwardness when someone is holding their tongue, stewing in anger after someone does something awful because they don't want to cause a scene? Well, for me, it's like being face to face with a wailing psychopath. An endless scream of all the horrible things people really want to do to each other. Back then, I was still getting used to it. Part of me wanted to turn to Stephen and see if his lips were moving. The other part was smart enough to know the things he was thinking weren't things anyone would say. He was pointing Superman at Corey, the kid who thought I smelled like a girl and that Stephen was a fucking chink. I started humming my ABCs, occupying my mind, blocking Stephen out. It wasn't long before Brenda's mom drove up, then Daryl's, then Jenny's. The next time I counted, there were only 5 of us left. Stephen turned to me and held out Superman. Stephen's eyes were so squinted I could barely see the black. He was thinking he should have stood up for me after I'd pissed my pants. "You can borrow him," he said. I didn't know what to say. I almost asked if he could hear my thoughts, because I'd been watching him play with that toy and wanted it for myself. But I learned that was a good way to get laughed at. I just nodded and said thanks. A shiny black Mercedes pulled up to the gate. Miss Parker called Stephen by his real name, Hong, even though he'd asked her not to that morning. That got Corey started. Bigger than most of us and blacker than all, he ran over and started doing his gorilla impression, pounding his chest, stomping snow everywhere. He shouted, "Hong Kong, Hong Kong." Stephen's face got red, but he didn't say a word about how he was going to jump in the car and have his father plow right into Corey. Then Corey slanted his eyes and unleashed his ching-chang-ching talk. Stephen figured Corey was jealous of the car. He had no idea Corey was jealous of the stone-faced woman staring straight ahead in the back seat. Corey's mom had died of tuberculosis. If I'd been bigger, braver, I would have said something to defend my very first friend. But I knew Corey would turn on me. Ask me where's my diaper. Despite the cold, my feet freezing so bad they might crack, I had a warm feeling in my chest and I didn't want to ruin it. Soon Stephen was out of the gate, climbing in the front of the Mercedes. In the next few minutes, Corey and the rest of the kids were picked up and gone. It was just me and Superman. The bone-aching cold. Miss Parker. Miss Parker told me to stay where I was, that she'd be right back. I had nowhere to go and was used to waiting, so that's what I did. She went into the classroom, came back out a few minutes later. Instead of heading back to the gate, she walked up to me, touched my puffy blue jacket, and put her face real close. Miss Parker had a face that made you pay attention. That's what Dad said to do. Pay attention to it. Miss Parker smoked cigarettes when she was a kid. She'd be a miss forever. Having anyone's face just inches away wasn't easy, but I didn't flinch. I just stood there, waited for her to talk. I've always been shy, have a hard time looking people in their eyes. But I looked Miss Parker in her murky blue ones because she'd been nice to me, gave me the corduroys, and told all the kids that if anyone else laughed, they'd be sent to the principal's office. Miss Parker gave me a half smile, spoke out of the right side of her mouth. Your mom didn't answer, Joey. Is there another number I can call? I shook my head no. Mom had more important things to do than worry about me. Is there anyone else who can come get you? Maybe your dad? No one called Dad when he was at work. I wouldn't be first. I told Miss Parker no, held Superman tight, and tried to stomp the cold right out of my boots. This poor kid, Miss Parker thought. I'm going to have to deal with this for the rest of the year. Miss Parker didn't know what to do. She'd never been stuck with a kid this long, and never in the cold. The cold made her bones hurt, but she pretended it didn't. I showed her Superman and pointed at his S. He's made of steel. Miss Parker walked me over to the gate. That's nice. I'd given up on Mom, but had an idea. It wasn't cold when I was moving, and it was just 4 blocks to my house. A blue car passed by the gate, went through the intersection, and pulled to the curb halfway up the block. Miss Parker had her back to it, so I pointed at the car and said, There she is. Miss Parker had no reason to doubt me, and she was already thinking about the space heater beneath her desk. Tell your mom she needs to pick you up right here from now on, and tell her we can't wait so long. I looked both ways and ran across the street. When I got to the other side, I slowed down. I didn't want to get to the car too quick. It wasn't a Buick. A fat man with humongous black boots pushed himself out of the car like it was a clown trick. Miss Parker didn't see because she was already heading inside. The man walked in front of me and stopped all of a sudden. He pointed at the house we were in front of and said, You the one fucking with my flowers? There weren't any flowers where he was pointing, just mounds of snow. I was smart enough not to argue, and said, No, sir. The fat man thought I was a little fucking liar and walked into his house. Turning around and running back into the classroom seemed like the smart thing to do, but it was just 4 blocks and I knew my address. I kept walking, one boot after another, even though my toes felt ready to snap off. And then it started snowing sideways. I put my mittens out in front of my face, scrunched my eyes like Stevens. I crossed the street and kept on going, made it all the way to the next corner, where I was supposed to turn right. Or was it left? I turned each way and tried to see the school, but everything was just the same, just walls of white. All I could do was guess, so I went to the right. But that was really a left because I'd turned around in a half circle. The block was longer than I remembered. I wasn't scared yet, but I was getting close. I'd gone 2 or 3 more blocks when the snow finally stopped. The clouds parted, the sun shining, and that made me feel better. Like maybe there was a God. Like he was actually looking out for me. Still, I couldn't tell where I was. I kept walking and walking, but never crying until this nice lady came up to me and knelt on the sidewalk. I couldn't see her face because my eyes weren't really working. Everything was all blurry and bright. I didn't have to see her eyes to know they were nice. The lady put both her hands on my shoulders. Honey, she said, are you lost? I didn't trust myself to speak. She knew I was lost without me saying a word. Gave me the biggest hug, wrapping her arms so tight around me, tighter than I'd ever been held. It's going to be all right, she said. Don't you cry. I hadn't even known I was, but the tears were there, coming down hard. And the lady didn't stop hugging me. She didn't think what a whiny baby like all the other kids. She just hugged me harder and held me until I was all done. Do you know where you live? I nodded, sniffed up the snot pouring out of my nose. Her shiny green car was right there, so she told me, "Go ahead and get in." I went to the back door, but she opened the front, the place I never sat with Mom. The nice lady started the car and spoke real soft and called me honey 10 times, trying to figure out where I lived. But even though it took me that long, she never got mad. She said how smart I was to remember the address. When we got to my house, the lady looked out the passenger window. "Is this where you live?" I wanted to say no. I wanted her to drive forever. But I didn't want to lie, so I said yes. "Good," she said. "Let's get you inside. I'm sure your mother's worried." I got out of the car, and the nice lady got out too. She put her hand around my shoulder and started down the path to the front porch. "I'll make sure she's home." Mom's big old Buick that she was dying to trade in for something sexy was in the driveway. I didn't recognize the van parked behind it. Even at 5 years old, I knew what I was walking toward. That it wasn't something good. The nice lady walked us up the 3 steps, her hand on me the whole way. Even when she knocked on the door, no one came, so she knocked again. "Does your mom work?" I said no and pointed to the doorbell. The nice lady pushed it and we heard a noise inside. Fast footsteps. The door opened halfway, and there she was. Mom, in that dark green towel that matched her eyes. She kept one arm pinched to her side to hold it up. Her hair was fire on that snow-white skin. "Sorry, I was in the shower. I found him walking up and down our cul-de-sac on Cherry." The nice lady kept her hand on my shoulder, stopped me from running away. "That's over 3 miles from here." "You've got to excuse him." Like I couldn't hear, Mom said. "He's a little special sometimes. What the hell were you thinking, Joey?" The nice lady pointed at my eyes, the skin all around them. "He was out there a long time," she said. "It'd be a good idea to put something on him right away, and maybe get him to a doctor." Mom grabbed my hand and pulled me past her, my face brushing against her towel that reeked of an overripe sweetness, something sour underneath. The nice lady said, "Not butter, though. That'll make it worse." Mom smiled. "I know what's best for my son." "Bitch." The nice lady started to say something. Mom slammed the door and walked me toward the kitchen. Her bedroom door was open, and she was praying I wouldn't look that way, at the guy standing next to the dresser, buckling his pants, his chest all sweaty like he'd been doing push-ups. Mom saw me looking and said, "TV went out again. That's why I couldn't leave. He's fixing it." She opened the fridge, took out the tub of butter. The yellow tub was shaking, something Mom never did. I wanted to back up, to get away from her. She held me there and said, "Damn it, Joey, stay still." Mom was really worried and ashamed. She couldn't care less about how she'd forgotten to pick me up. She was feeling bad about what she'd done in her room. Mom stuck one hand into the tub, the same stuff that had been good enough for her growing up. With a huge scoop of butter globbed in one hand, Mom said, "I need you to promise me something. Can you keep a secret?" That was the one thing I was good at, knowing people's secrets, acting like I didn't. Mom slapped the cold butter on my tingling cheeks. "Not a word," she said. Spread the butter across my face. Wasn't all that careful around my eyes. "Not about any of this. You can do that, can't you? I knew exactly what Mom was talking about. I said, I won't tell. Not like your father doesn't already know. I hurried to my room and cried. Mom didn't know at the time I could listen to her thoughts. But she knew she couldn't trust me. After that, whenever she had a man over, she told me to go outside. When the weather was bad, she locked me in my bedroom. I'd sit there and watch the rain leaking in through the tiny window. I guess that's why I didn't freak out like the others when I first got to Brightside. I was used to captivity. The others weren't. The first few nights I'd heard the screams, the uncontrollable sobbing. Sometimes the bootsteps would follow, and the thuds, and then the silence. Other times they would just let the people cry themselves to sleep. The apartment walls were too thick to hear anyone's thoughts. But we still knew what each other was thinking. You didn't have to be a telepath to know everyone was scared shitless. We'd never leave Brightside.